Every vato in the hood said, it ain't mine. Y'all gotta go to Maury. That's your only chance. If he says you ain't the father, gotta hit the dance.
Case of 10-month-old baby Dante. You are not.
That baby don't look like me.
Case of 10-month-old baby Dante. You are not.
Moral of the story, bitches ain't shit. And homies, we don't use our brains, we use our dicks. Every vato in the hood said, it ain't mine. Y'all gotta go to Maury. That's your only chance. If he says you ain't the father, gotta hit the dance. Moral of the story, bitches ain't shit. And homies, we don't use our brains, we use our dicks.
All right. Yeah, so that two little clips right there has nothing to do with what I want to talk about right now. I just want to throw that in there because that shit's funny. Those two songs right there are hella funny. So anyways, today what I want to talk about, I want to be a little specific. I'm not going to mention no names, but the only reason why I'm going to be a little specific because hopefully the dad watches this where he can understand what happened with his middle son. A little bit, actually, his kids. But this, he was a man. He stepped up. I don't know exactly what happened with the mother, but he did raise 3 of his kids. And the daughter being the oldest, the middle son, which I want to talk about the most in this video, and the youngest son. So I want to get a little specific this way. If he does watch this, he can understand more of what happened with his middle son. And if the oldest daughter watches this, she can understand what happened with her younger brother. So growing up, so I want to get a little specific this way. They know, speaking of the family, they can understand the son or the little brother more on what happened in this situation. So, it was a joke for a long time because I was a little chavalito, just a little kid. I used to always mess around when I first started karate, actually. Well, it was a mixture of karate, Muay Thai, and Taekwondo. And it was a mixture of the 3. But when I first started, I didn't know karate, but, I had my little high-pitched voice because I had a lot of speech problems. My voice was all sound like Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, whatever. So I used to walk around and say, I know karate. So between me and one of my friends, it became a joke, to this day. I never actually told him that I really did it. But, I was doing that for a while. And then I got I got older. I had this trainer for boxing. And he wanted me to go pro. He wanted me to go pro because he says, first thing that gives on a boxer or a fighter is their legs. And my legs never got tired. But I was real close friends with his kids, particularly his middle son. And so he had at the time a champion that I think was lightweight or middle featherweight, or before all the different weights class. I think he was lightweight, and he's very involved in training. And now he's in UFC. He got a lot of famous fighters in the UFC. But he wanted me to go pro. But during this time, matter of fact, one of his trainers at this time was a 3-time Golden Glove champion, which I'm not going to talk about that. I can talk about that in another video. But I was watching him. I was actually a part of watching this family grow, as a kid. And so the son, he was crazy. So his dad, he put all his attention, all his time, all his focus on his fighters. He got really, really involved on his fighters, which, for a trainer, I'm pretty sure that's natural. But he put his fighters ahead of his kids. He put his job, his training ahead of his kids. And, I know him and his daughter used to argue a lot. His daughter got hands. Whoo, she got some hands on her. But I don't know too much about the youngest son, but I was closer to the middle son between the 3 kids, the middle child. And I remember he would crave his dad's attention. he was jealous of the trainer. He was jealous of his dad's fighters because his dad's fighters got more time, more attention from his dad than he did. And he wanted his dad's attention so bad. And this is why, I always put your kids first ahead of any job, any work. I mean, I've quit a couple jobs and they try asking me back because they try to tell me I couldn't go to my kids' events. Bullshit. My kids' events, my family always came first. I never put a job in front of my family. And this is a prime example why, one of the reasons why I realized growing up made me a better parent is because I witnessed this situation break down firsthand. So, my friend, he was craving his dad's. He got real involved. Sometimes some of the fighters, he wanted them to move in. They had to stay on a strict diet. He had rules. He wanted to make sure they follow the rules. And he gave them all his time. So his son decided, what? I want my dad to train me. He wanted his dad's attention. So he wanted to train as a boxer. And this is, of course, before UFC came out, before he became a UFC trainer. And so he was craving his dad's attention. So he started training. But his dad wouldn't train him. I mean, his dad would show him a little bit here and there, but he stayed most of his focus on his fighters. And they were bringing him money. They were paying him. He had champions. And he had Golden Glove champions. He had, so his son was jealous. His son was jealous of these fighters because they were getting his dad's full attention. And he wasn't getting his dad's attention. He was barely getting any attention. All his kids barely got any attention from their dad. But don't get me wrong. Their dad stepped up and took care of his kids. He was handling his as a dad. But he put his fighters ahead of his kids. And growing up, I watched all this unfold. And I never got a chance to tell his dad exactly what happened. For one, it's not my place, period. It wasn't my place. But I know his sister never understood. I mean, his sister seen what happened, but she never understood why her younger brother became the way he is today. So, but I was watching this unfold. And then when he became a UFC fighter, his dad kept telling him, "You're too small. You can't be, I won't train you because you need to bulk up. Try lifting some weights, try working out, bulk up a little bit." He gave him some protein, muscle protein diets and what to try, try and put on some weight. And so he did that, but still he wasn't getting his dad's attention. So he goes, "Look, Dad, I'm getting some muscles, I'm doing everything you're telling me to." He goes, "Okay, you're still too small." And his dad kind of just gave him a cold shoulder, put his attention to all his fighters, famous fighters. If I was to mention their names, you guys would be like, "Oh man, really? That was your trainer?" Yeah, he was my trainer, but I'm talking about his son right now. So I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to mention, if they're watching, if they get the chance to watch this, they're going to understand what happened. So his son finally said, "You know what? I'm going to take some steroids." His dad told him, bulk up, but don't take steroids. So he wanted his dad's attention so bad, and he was so jealous of his fighters because his fighters was getting his dad's attention more than he ever gave him. He started taking steroids, and he started getting road rage. He was getting big, and his dad said, "Okay, you're starting to get to the size I would like you to be at before I start training you." But his dad didn't realize he was stuck on steroids until he started getting steroid rage. And then his dad told him no. Then, he finally got the size where he wanted to be, where his dad would train him. But his dad told him, "No, you got too short of a temper. I'm not going to train you. You need to check your temper." So he finally get to where his dad was willing to train him. But now his dad got another excuse: his temper. You know, you can't have a temper. You have to have patience in this game, in in the UFC. But at this point, he was trying so hard to get his dad's attention, his dad to train him. You know, he originally, I don't even think he wanted to fight, but he wanted his dad's attention so bad, he wanted to fight. He wanted to be one of his dad's fighters for his dad's attention. So, you know, he got stuck on steroids, and he got big. I mean, he's maybe about my height, but his arms are probably taller than his whole body is. That's how big he got. His chest, he's huge. But that was due to steroids. It wasn't all natural. So when his dad found out, his dad told him, go through therapy, get off the steroids, and then I'll think about training you. So he tried to do that. Unfortunately, when he started giving it up, he got so stuck on it, his body was craving it, and he ended up in a wheelchair. But all this damage that he did to his body was because he was craving, he wanted his dad's attention so much. And, you know, me growing up watching this, that made me as a father say, I don't care what job I have. I'm never going to put a job in front of my family's, my kids. You know, it made me a better father today. And I literally went through jobs and got in arguments with the bosses, pretty much told them to where to go. I told them where to go. But since I was such a good worker, they tried calling me back, but it was already too late. The damage was already done. Plain and simple. I wasn't going back. But I'm trying to say this without giving anybody up. But either way, that made me a better father. Watching all this unfold made me a better father. And that's why, you know, I've gone through jobs. A lot of jobs respected it because I told them up front from the jump. My kids got an event. I don't care if it's a doctor's appointment, if it's just a football event, a cheer event, a dance event, even just a basketball, even just something small. I'm going to go. If you're going to write me up or fire me, and so be it, I'll quit. I'm going to make it my kids' event. My kids come first. My family comes first. But that's because of what I watch unfold. You know, I could talk about a lot of things, but I'm speaking about this particularly because I want the older sister and hopefully the dad, even the brother I'm talking about, to see this. And so I'm going to get a little bit more specific. So back in the MySpace days, well, actually, I was still okay. Facebook. I say about a year before my incident, he called me up. He was like, man, you know, I really wish I had your gift. He goes, I really wish I had your gift of reading people. Now, I'm not saying it's a gift, but this is the way he explained it to me. He goes, if I knew how to read people the way you did, I wouldn't waste time on my football. I always wonder why the coaches were just using me and kept me as a second stringer or a first stringer when somebody went down, how they mistreated him as he was growing up. But he always felt like he was being mistreated by adult men because of the way his father was giving him the cold shoulder, the way his father always put fighters that he was training ahead of him. So he felt like that even through with his coaches growing up. You know, the attention he was craving, trying to get from his father, he felt like everybody was treating him like that. But now that I think about it, and I think back during his football years, his coaches actually did try to help him. You know, unfortunately, you know, shit happens, and I wound up going to different high schools and all that good stuff. But I remember the coaches did try and help him. They were making him a better football player. But it affected him where he didn't get to give his football 100% because he was craving so bad to get his attention from his dad, where all his dad's attention was going to his fighters. So this video is pretty much is just to show you guys to make sure your family comes before your job. You can always find a job, but you can never get your kids back. Make sure you spend every time you can with your kids, because when that time comes, the best thing it is to leave behind is the memories you have with your family. That's the best thing. I mean, you can leave money, but money comes and goes. You can leave a house, but anybody can lose a house at any time, unfortunately. But one thing you will never lose is the time spent with your family and the memories you spend with your family and your memories you gain with the family, and they remember you as a person you are here on earth. So I want to go ahead and leave that there. And I'm not sure. Ren, are you here? Okay. Yeah, so I want to go ahead and leave that there. So remember, always put your family ahead of your work, because your work ain't worth losing your family over. And your work ain't worth having your kids ruin themselves for trying to gain your attention, because you're putting your work ahead of your kids. So with that said, you guys, make sure you tell your loved ones you love them before you leave your house, because you're not guaranteed to make it home. Be blessed and stay blessed.